The National Railway Museum is a living space which celebrates people and their history. It is a space for dialogue and sharing, offering a place for reflection and developing relations between cultural heritage and the historical, symbolic and technological role of rail transportation in Portugal. The museum is housed in the Entroncamento railway complex, covering an area of 4.5 hectares with 19 rail lines. With a legacy covering 160 years, the museum houses one of the best collections of railway heritage in Europe. There are around 36,000 objects integrated in the museum's collection. Here, true national treasures prevail, such as the Royal Train and Presidential Train, extraordinary machines that traveled the paths of history and that invite visitors to experience visiting the museum. When telling the story of railways in Portugal, the museum invites you to visit and take a unique look at the history of Europe and the world. Technique, art and science intersect with the narratives of society's groups and individuals. The railway opened up new territories, created cities, connected communities, fostered and sustained new visions of what surrounds us, giving a perspective on time and space, as well as changing the way we see the world. Here, you can discover artifacts that tell passionate stories about railway stations, apprentices, permanent way and safety, medicine, railway tourism, amongst many others related to the various locomotives, carriages and wagons. The museum is a place under constant construction and evolution. It is the natural state of a living organism. The contents and activities are developed to meet the needs and expectations of each visitor. This museum is for everyone. The visit starts at the old food store, where employees of the railway company could buy food, household equipment, fabrics and other items. Today, it shows the smallest pieces in the collection, such as locomotive La Lilliputienne. The rail adventure in Portugal would have started with this small but valuable toy. This miniature locomotive operated on real steam, being a replica built from a locomotive belonging to Louis Philippe, King of France between 1830 and 1848. Built by the mechanical engineer Eugène Philippe, it was offered by the French monarch to the princes of the Portuguese royal family. It operated on a network of rails installed at the Palácio das Necessidades. For King Pedro and for his brother Luís, who succeeded him on the throne, this would be the first contact that they would have with a new means of transportation, becoming pioneers of the introduction of a train in Portugal. We continue to the roundhouse, where 15 steam locomotives are located. It has a turntable where the 14 rail lines converge in its interior. This mechanism was used to reverse the direction of locomotives. One of these locomotives is Peugeot. Built in England by Robert Hudson in 1918, this locomotive was used on small industrial railways. Such mining locomotives did not have numbers but names. This locomotive was given the name Peugeot, as it served in the coal mines at Peugeot. It was used to transport wagons from the mines to the quay of the River Douro to unload coal onto barges. In 1974, rail and river transport of coal ended. Next are the buildings of the old steam locomotive repair shop. It is in this magnificent space that you can visit locomotives, carriages, saloons and wagons, along with a space dedicated to the workshop activity, the Figueira da Foz workshops. Buildings 13, 14 and 15 are a legacy of the old steam workshops, called the Second Workshop Group of Material and Traction Division. Building 13, dating from 1907, was the first to be built and was a machine assembly workshop. It had 3 broad gauge rail lines as well as the first power station in Entroncamento, called Casa da Luz. Later, Building 14 was added. which together with Building 13 formed the Steam Locomotives Workshop in 1915. Another building was added later, having 2 broad-gauge rail lines. In these buildings, you can visit the Royal Train. Acquired by State Railways South and South East for use by the royal family between Barreiro and Vila Viçosa, the Portuguese Royal Train was in service since the reign of King Luís. The Portuguese Royal Train consists of 4 broad-gauge vehicles: Locomotive Dom Luís and respective tender, Dona Maria Pia Saloon and the Princess Saloon. The locomotive Dom Luís was commissioned from the English manufacturer Beyer Peacock & Co., being completed in 1862 for hauling Dona Maria Pia Saloon. In the Great London Exhibition that year, the locomotive was displayed and received a gold medal. Initially, this train was formed only by this locomotive and by Dona Maria Pia Saloon, which was offered by the King of Italy, Vittorio Emanuele, to his daughter, Maria Pia, in 1861. The Princess Saloon was offered by Queen Maria Pia to her eldest son, Prince Carlos, when he turned 14 years old. The presidential train is one of the most emblematic pieces of the museum and railway history in Portugal. This special train served heads of state when they and their entourages travelled across the country between 1910 and 1970. Between 1910 and 1930, the presidential train included 3 coaches inherited from the previous formation: the Royal Saloon, the Minister's Saloon, and the Restaurant Saloon. In 1930, the Portuguese Railways Company acquired a new vehicle for the presidential train for the head of state, being built by the Link Hoffmann Bush Company. In 1940, on the centenary commemorations of the foundation of Portugal, the train was remodeled and the 3 earliest saloons were refurbished internally and externally to the same format as the saloon in order to provide a uniform formation. The same period saw a luggage van built for luggage transport, as well as a first-class carriage that would become the journalist's coach to transport delegations of journalists and reporters from major national and foreign newspapers who accompanied presidential trips. The presidential train was released from the service of the heads of state in 1970. Third-class carriage. Purchased for long-distance services as well as mail trains and stopping services, these carriages were notably more stable due to their long wheelbase. They featured compartments separated by incomplete partitions, electric lighting, wooden slat benches, a toilet in the middle of the carriage, a side corridor with windows, heating, and corridor connections to the adjacent carriage. They were active until the mid-1970s and were used for mixed regional and stopping trains on the Minho and Douro lines, where they ended their services. Beira Alta Management Saloon, a luxury carriage acquired by the Beira Alta Railway Company, which passed to CP in 1947. The carriage served primarily for transporting management personnel of Beira Alta Railway Company, as well as invited, distinguished passengers. It has a side corridor and a bathroom in between the compartments. Allen railcar. With a cab at each end, they were able to travel easily in either direction. Medical Saloon. The medical services carriage was initially acquired for scheduled passenger services. Due to the widespread geography and labour of the company, assistance by CP to employees was given through this medical services carriage, which travelled to specified locations on predefined days and schedules, providing a way to complement the service already offered by the various company medical posts. Come and discover the universe of trains in Portugal.